Hello dear students. In the previous lecture, in the previous class, we have discussed about parallel reaction, conjugative reaction, and reversible reactions. We have discussed the theory concerning this type of reaction involving first order kinetics, but we haven't discussed any problem. Now, before starting the new topic, I'll just take up some more examples of parallel reaction, how to solve the problem. Let's start with some examples like, suppose we have a question, a reactant A undergoes parallel reaction to give you product B and product C. Now conversion of A into product B, this is first order with rate constant K1. Conversion of E into C, again this is a first order kinetics with rate constant K2, both are first order kinetics. Question says K1, suppose take this value 1.26 into 10 power minus 4 minute inverse. Let the value of this K2 be 3.60 into 10 to the power minus 5 minute inverse. The question says, what is the overall rate constant of the reaction? Second question says, find the product ratio of B and C at any given instant. And the third question says, find the percentage of product B and the product C formed. So we have the first order kinetics, that is a parallel reaction. Means conversion of A to B and A to C, both are following first order kinetics. Their respective rate constants are given. Now you have to find total rate constant, product ratio at any given instant, and the percentage of the products formed. So using the concept of parallel reaction, for a parallel reaction, the total rate constant K is equals to summation of individual rate constants. So in this case K1 plus K2, so we have the value of K1 and K2. K1 is 1.26 into 10 to the power minus 4. K2 is 3.6 into 10 to the power minus 5 minute inverse. So we can say this is 1.62 into 10 to the power minus 4 minute inverse. This is the overall rate constant for this reaction. The second, for the product ratio of B and C at any given instant, so we have this concentration of B divided by concentration of C at any given instant. So for a parallel reaction, this product ratio is equals to the ratio of rate constant K1 by K2. So K1 is given as 1.26 into 10 to the power minus 4. K2 is 3.6 into 10 to the power minus 5. So this comes out to be 12.6 divided by 3.6. This is the ratio of the products B and C at any given instant. Then the third question says, find the product ratio of B and C. So we have to find the percentage of the product B and C formed at any given instant. So the percentage of B is given as K1 divided by K1 plus K2. So we have the value of K1 1.26 into 10 power minus 4, and K1 plus K2, that is K total. So K total is 1.62 into 10 power minus 4. So we have this. This is the percentage of B. So this is percentage. So you have to multiply this by 100. So this is the percentage of B, and similarly percentage of C. This is K2 by K1 plus K2 into 100. So K2 is 3.6 into 10 to the power minus 5 into 100 divided by 1.62 into 10 to the power minus 4. So this is the percentage of C, this is percentage of B. Now once we define this percentage of P, we can simply define percentage of C as 100 minus percentage of B. This will also give you the same. So this is how we find total rate constant, which is nothing but the summation of individual rate constant. Product ratio is equals to the ratio of rate constants and the percentage. This is how we define the percentage. So this is one model example where we use various equations of parallel reaction. Now let's modify this equation. Suppose we have this second equation. We have A giving you 2 moles of B, A giving you moles of C, 1 mole of C. This is K1, this is K2, both are first order. Now question says find the product ratio of B and C. Now in the previous example we say कि product ratio at any given instant is simply a ratio of rate constants, but there's a very small change here. In the first question, 1 mole of A gives you 1 mole of B, 1 mole of A gives you 1 mole of C. But in this reaction, 1 mole of A gives you 2 moles of B and 1 mole of A gives you 1 mole of C. So if you have this type of case, then first we have to write down the equations applicable to both the reaction. So because the rate of formation of product B, the rate of formation of product B, that is one by 2 is equals to the rate of reaction. So this rate of reaction is equals to A1 into concentration of A. So this is the rate 1. Now the rate of formation of C, this is rate 2. This is equals to A2 A. So look at this, the rate of formation of B, dV by dt, this is 2 times A1 into concentration of A. Now we take the ratio of these two, so therefore rate of formation of B divided by rate of formation of C, which is equal to 2K1 divided by K2. So therefore look at this, this is the product ratio of B and C. So this is equals to 2K1 by K2. So this means simply saying this product ratio is equals to the ratio of rate constants provided is simply stoichiometric coefficient is 1:1. But if the stoichiometric coefficient changes from 1 to some other factor, then please take into account this. This is second question. Now let's modify this question again. Let's take this question. Again we have this reaction, a parallel reaction. This is first order kinetics, this is second order, first order kinetics, both are first order kinetics. Now K1 by K2 ratio, suppose this ratio is 1:10. Now question says find the concentration ratio of C to that of A at time t equals to 1 hour. Now we have to find this ratio, concentration of C divided by concentration of A after 1 hour of the reaction. Now we have this K1 by K2 is B by C. Now we have to find this ratio. Now concentration of B by concentration of C this ratio is equals to K1 by K2, which is equals to 1 by 10. Now this reaction is a first order kinetics. So applying first order kinetics, we have ln A naught by AT is equals to A total into time T. Now for this K total, that is K1 plus K2. So K1 K2 ratio is 1 is to 10. So we can say KT is K1 plus K2, that is C. So therefore look at this, K1 is 1, K2 is 10. So therefore K total, this is K1 plus K2, that is 11. Now we have this first order kinetics, ln A naught by AT is equals to KT into T. Now at any given instant, this A naught is equals to AT plus B form plus C form. So we have to replace this A naught in this equation. So using this equation, so we have ln A naught is AT plus B plus C divided by AT, which is equals to KT into T. Now we also have B by C as 1 by 10. So therefore concentration of B at any given instant is equals to C by 10. So we can replace B here in terms of C. So this is equals to ln 1 plus B is equals to C by 10. C by 10 plus C divided by A is equals to KT. So KT is 11. Time T is 1. So we can replace T by 1. So 1 plus 11C by 10A is equals to exponential KT. So therefore, you have to find the C by A. So C by A, ln A naught by AT is KT into T. So we have this KT 11, T is 1 or A naught is AT plus B plus C. So replace A naught by this value and replace this B by C by 10. So C by 10 plus C, that is 11. C by 10A. So therefore look at this. So 11C by A 10A is equals to 1 minus exponential KT minus 1. So therefore C by A at any given instant, that is equals to 1 on, that is 10 by 11 exponential KT minus 1. So this is the product ratio of C to that of the amount of A left after time 1 or which is the ratio. This is how we use different types of equation here. So this is one of the example in which we have to find the product ratio to that of initial the reactant left after time T. Now let's modify this equation to find the value of K1 and KT. Suppose again we have this type of equation, A giving you D, A simultaneously giving you C with a constant K1 and K2. Person says at suppose 20 minutes, 60% of reactant decompose. So at 20 minutes, 60% of reactant decompose, and at this case, the percentage of D is 75 and percentage of C, this is 25. That means at this 20 minutes when 60% of A reacted, the quantity of B and C present is 75% and 25%. Then question says what is the value of K1 and K2. Now time is given as 20 minutes. Amount of A reacted is 60%. So amount of A left is 40%. So amount of A left, that is 40% of the initial value. So therefore A naught by AP is equals to 100 by 40. Let's say this is 10 by 4. Now we have this percentage of B and percentage of B, C as to 75 and 25. So that means B by C, which is equals to 75 by 25, that is 3:1. Now for this reaction, total ratio of B and C is 3:1. So this is equals to K1 by K2. Now we have this amount of A left. This is the ratio of K1 and K2. Now we have to find this K1 and K2. Now reaction being first order, we will use first order kinetics. Integrated equations, you have ln A naught by AP is equals to A total T. Now we have A naught by AT, that is 10 by 4. So ln 10 by 4 is equals to AT. Time is given as 20 minutes. So we have this 20. Or we can say AT is equals to 2.303 log 10 by 4 divided by 20. So this can be written as log 5 by 2. So we say 2.303 by log 5 minus log 2. 2.303 by 20. Log 5 is 0.699. Log 2 is 0.301. So we have 2.303 by 20 into 0.398. So this is the value of KT. So this value KT is equals to K1 plus K2. Let's suppose this value is X. So we have this K1 by K2 as 3:1 and K1 plus K2 is X. So we have these two equations, that is equation A, this is equation B. So from this equation A and equation B, we will find the value of K1 and K2. So look at this, K1 plus K2 is X and K1 by K2. So we can replace this K1 in terms of K2. So therefore K1 is equals to 3 times K2. So we can replace K1 here. So that is 3 K2 plus K2 is equals to X. So therefore K2 is equals to X by 4. Since time is in minutes, so we will have this minute inverse. So once you have this K2, we can define the value of K1. So this is K1 is equal to 3 times K2. So therefore K1 is 3 K2, so 3 into X by. So this is how we use different equations to solve a parallel reaction or side reaction or concurrent reaction. Now having learned this parallel reaction, we'll take up next topic, that is effect of temperature on the rate of reaction. Effect of temperature on a reaction rate. Now for every reaction, whether the reaction is first order reaction, zero order reaction or second order reaction, whatever may be the order of reaction, normally we find any chemical reaction, the rate constant and the rate normally increases on increasing temperature. And if the temperature is decreased, then the rate constant as well as the rate of reaction also decreases. So in a rough estimate, for every 10-degree increase in temperature, that means suppose from 10 degree to 20 degree, or 35 to 45, or 55 to 65, that means for every 10-degree increase in the temperature, the rate of reaction normally doubles or triples. So this change in rate of reaction for every 10-degree increase in temperature by 2 factor or 3 factor of the initial value is what we call as temperature coefficient of the reactions. So we have the term temperature coefficient. So this temperature coefficient is defined as the ratio of rate constant KT2 by KT1 such that this T2 is equals to 10 plus T1, or delta T is equals to 10. That means there's a difference of 10 unit between T2 and T. So whenever this temperature changes by 10 unit, this effect on rate of reaction, this is approximately 2 to 3 times. So this ratio is what we call as temperature coefficient. So from this we are simply saying that whenever we increase the temperature, rate of reaction simply increases. Now the question is how to define this effect of temperature on the rate of reaction, or why on increasing temperature rate of reaction increases. Now this effect of temperature on the reaction rate, this was first defined by Van Hoff, and later on another scientist known as Arrhenius get the physical explanation for this effect of temperature on rate, and from them this is defined by equation which is known as Arrhenius equations. So the effect of temperature on reaction rate is defined by Arrhenius equation. So this equation gives a quantitative relationship between the rate constant A and the temperature. So we have this equation K is equals to A exponential minus raised to the power EA by RT. Now before going into details, let's explain the terms involved here. K, this is the rate constant. A and this E, A, these are Arrhenius parameter. Now this Arrhenius parameter is the characteristics of a given reaction. For different reaction will have different values of N, EA. This R is gas constant, that is 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. T is the temperature measured in terms of Kelvin scale, and this A is also known as free exponential factor, which is also known as frequency factor. So we have free exponential factor or frequency factor, or simply Arrhenius parameter A. EA, this is known as activation energy. Activation energy of the reaction. So the unit of R is 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole, temperature Kelvin. So R into T is joule per mole. So that means the unit of EA and unit of R is same. Unit is same as RT. So this is joule per mole. And look at this exponential raised by something, so this has to be unitless quantity. So therefore, look at this K and A has same unit. So unit of K and A has same. Unit of EA and R is same. So E is joule per mole. The unit of rate constant K is also the unit of the free exponential factor A or the frequency factor A. So this is, let's say this is equation A, the main equation or the basic equation. So this equation says whenever we increase the temperature, the rate constant K increases exponentially. So taking logarithm of equation A, we get taking log on both sides of equation A, we get ln A is equal to ln A minus EA by R T. Let this be equation B. So this is natural logarithm. We can convert it into logarithm with base 10. So this is log K is equals to log A minus EA by 2.303, that is C. ln is equals to 2.303 log base 10. So this is the relation. So we have this. This is the logarithmic form. This is the actual equation that is used for defining effect of temperature on rate of reaction. So look at this equation A and equation B or C. So graphically we can define this as, so we have this rate constant K and temperature T. Now we are increasing temperature. So on, look at it, this is exponential increase. So we can say this is, so increase in temperature, the rate constant K increases exponentially for every type of reaction. So this is equation A. Now look at this equation B or equation C. So ln A or ln K or log K versus 1 by T. This is equation of straight line with negative slope. So if you are using ln K versus 1 by T, then the slope of the graph is minus EA by R. If you are using log K versus 1 by T, then slope will be equals to minus EA by 2.303 R. That means once we have this equation, graph, from the slope of the graph, we can also define what is the activation energy of the reaction, provided we know the value of ln K and 1 by T. Now, on extrapolation of the graph at 1 by T0, we have this value. So this value on y-intercept, this is equals to the value of ln A or log K, that is P exponential value. So from the intercept, we define that what is the value of P exponential factor A or frequency factor, and from the slope of the graph, we can define the activation energy of the reaction. We are defining what is activation energy, what is the significance of activation energy later on. So this is the graphical representation, and from this graph, how to define the activation energy. This is logarithmic form, this is non-logarithmic form. Now the same equation can be solved for two different temperatures. If the same reaction is carried out at two different temperatures, then how the rate constant changes or how the rate of reaction changes. Let's see. solving equation C on two different temperatures T2 and T1. We just assume T2 is greater than T1, that is high temperature, this is low temperature, means we are increasing the temperature. At T2 we have log A T2 is equals to log A minus EA by 2.303 R T2. At T1 we have this equation log A T1 equals to log of A minus EA by 2.303 R T1. Now, while changing temperature, we are just assuming that during this change in temperature, the free exponential factor or the frequency factor almost remains constant, and the activation energy of the reaction also almost remaining constant. So let us see. So look at this. We can carry out this operation log AT2 minus log AT1. So this will be equals to T2 minus T1. So this is EA by 2.303 R 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. So log A minus log is equals to log A by T. So we have AT2 by AT1 is equals to EA by 2.303 R. So take a LCM. So we have T1 into T2. So T2 minus T1. So this is the equation that could be used to define the rate constant K if temperature is increased, provided we know the value of T1, T2 and activation energy. So this is the modified equation. So by use of this equation, if the rate constant temperature T1 is given, then we can find what is the rate constant at temperature T2 for a given value of activation energy. So this is Arrhenius equation which defines the effect of temperature on the rate of reaction. So in this reaction, we are defining this temperature in effect of temperature in terms of rate constant K. Now we know rate is directly proportional to the rate constant K. So if the rate constant K is more, then the rate of reaction will be more. If the rate constant K is less, then the rate of reaction will also be less. Now, so in this reaction, also in this equation, so we have this A is equals to A exponential minus EA by R T. This is a basic equation. Now let's see if temperature is increased to infinitely large value. So look at this. If T is infinity, very large, then let's see what will the value of T and A. If T is infinity, then we have look at this exponential minus EA by RT. So this is infinity. So something by infinity is defined as 0. So this is equal to E raised to power 0 is equals to 1. So if the temperature is increased to infinitely large value, then say we have K is equals to A. So at infinitely large temperature, this free exponential factor A is equals to the rate constant K. Now let's see what is this feasible or not. Physically, this value is not feasible. Now look at this. K is defined as frequency factor. That means every collision is leading to the product formation, which is not feasible at all. That means if reaction says during the course of reaction there must be collision between the reactant molecules, and for this collision, all collisions will not lead to the product formation. But if looking at this condition, when temperature is increased to infinitely large value, rate constant K is equals to A. That means all collisions is leading to the product formation. So this is physically not feasible. Okay. And alternatively, you can say suppose for this k equals to a, if k equals to a, that means this e exponential raised to the power rt must be equals to 1. So e raised to the power ea by rt is equals to 1. So this condition is possible only when we have ea value 0. That means if the activation energy of the reaction is 0, then also we can say the radiate constant k is equals to the pre-exponential factor or the frequency factor. So for any given reaction, there is a certain finite value of activation energy. So activation energy of any given reaction cannot be 0. So look at it, this is not practically feasible. That means the value of rate constant k will always be less than this pre-exponential factor. The maximum value that can reach to is a, and for this requirement is the activation energy has to be 0, and for any given reaction activation energy cannot be 0. Now we are using a particular term which is known as activation energy. Now let's see what is activation energy. Activation energy, EA. Now during the course of any chemical reaction, the reactant molecule has to undergo collision, and only when these reacting molecules undergo collision, there is some transformation, that is molecular transformation, and during this molecular transformation, some bonds has to break and some new bonds has to form, which leads to the product formation. So the basic requirement for any chemical reaction is collision between the reactant molecules. So during this collision, there is certain energy change because some bond has to break and some bond has to form. If there is no breaking of any bond, and probably there won't be any formation of products. So product formation requires if there is a molecular rearrangement. Now during this molecular collision, bond is to be break. So breaking of bonds require energy. So the minimum energy required by these reactant molecules so that it crosses the some barrier. So that minimum energy required to cross that energy barrier is what we call as activation energy. That means every reactant has to have some minimum amount of energy, and that minimum amount of energy, this is defined as activation energy. If the reacting molecules possess energy less than this activation energy, then there is no product formation, and only those reactant molecules having energy greater than this activation energy, which is known as minimum energy, then that reactant will be converted into the product formation. So during the process, there is change in energy. Now look at this. So we have a reaction here. The reactant R changing into product P. The energy graph, this is the potential energy, this is the reaction coordinate, that is progression of reaction coordinate. Suppose initially this is the energy of reactant increases, this value, this is the reactant R, this is product P. Now look at this. This reactant is to be converted into product P. For this reactant has to cross this minimum energy barrier. So this minimum energy barrier that must be possessed by this reactant molecule, this is what we call as EA, that is activation energy. So during the course of reaction, these R molecule, reactant molecules undergoes collision, and this forms a particular state which is known as activated complex. So energy required to form this activated complex, this is also defined as activation energy. The lifetime of this activated complex is very short. So at this particular point, bond breaking as well as bond formation simultaneously takes place. So bond breaks one, and then new bonds form. As a new bond is formed, energy is released, and hence potential energy of the system decreases. So we have to define this activation energy from this graph. So this is energy of reactant, that is energy of the reactant R. This is this distance, this is the energy of product P. The distance between these two, this distance is known as enthalpy of reaction, that is enthalpy change for this reaction. Distance from this R to this activated complex, this distance is known as activation energy for forward reaction, that is reactant is to be converted into product B. For this reactant molecule has to cross this energy barrier. Whereas this distance is known as activation energy for the backward reaction. If suppose this product is to be converted into reactant, then the product molecule has to cross this minimum energy barrier. So this is the activation energy. So minimum energy equal to cross this barrier, that is known as activation energy. Now this reactant molecule do possess certain energy. Similarly, the product molecules also possess some energy. This distance from this 0 point to this activated complex, this distance is known as threshold energy. ET. So we have another term here, threshold energy. So look at this graph. Threshold energy is the activation energy plus energy of reacting species. So this threshold energy can be defined as activation energy of the forward reaction, looking this, plus the energy of the reactant. Or this threshold energy can also be defined in terms of activation energy of the backward reaction. So this is activation energy of backward reaction plus the potential energy of the product P. So from this we can define what is activation energy. So therefore look at this. Activation energy of forward reaction will be equals to threshold energy minus energy of the reactant. Similarly, activation energy of the backward reaction will be equals to threshold energy minus energy of the product. So this is threshold energy, this is activation energy, forward reaction, backward reaction, activated complex. This is the process where simultaneous breaking and formation of bond takes place. Now we have this term delta H. So this delta H, this is defined as enthalpy of reaction. So this enthalpy of reaction is defined as the activation energy of forward reaction minus activation energy of backward reaction. So the difference between activation energies of forward and backward reaction is defined as enthalpy of reaction. Now this difference may be positive or may be negative. If this difference is means if activation energy of forward is greater than activation energy of backward, then delta H will be positive. Reaction is known as endothermic. If the activation energy of backward reaction is greater than activation energy of forward reaction, then delta H will be negative, then the reaction is known as exothermic. So depending on the values of this delta H, we have to change this graph. So basically the graph is variation of this energy of reactants with the reaction coordinate. So this difference is defined as activation energy. So we have two terms here, endothermic process and exothermic process. So for this exothermic process, the energy of reaction is less than energy of reaction is greater than energy of product. Whereas in case of endothermic reaction, the energy of product is greater than energy of the reaction. So let's modify this. So this graph, energy of product is less than energy of reaction. So this is for delta H negative, that is exothermic. If delta H is positive, the graph is this is reactant R, this is product P. The energy of product P is greater than energy of reactant R, so this delta H is positive endothermic. This difference is activation energy of forward. This is activation energy of backward. This difference is delta X, and this distance is threshold energy. So in both case, this point is activated complex. This is potential energy of reaction. This is potential energy of the product. So this is the meaning of activation energy. So every reactant molecule must possess some minimum amount of energy, and if this value is less than this value, then no reaction takes place. If the minimum energy is greater than this value, only then this reactant molecule will be converted into product. So this minimum energy that must be possessed by the reacting molecule is defined as the activation energy. Now, how this temperature affects this activation energy? That is the main point. Now, looking at this Arrhenius equation, we have this K is equals to A exponential minus EA by R T. Now, then in this equation, this term minus EA by RT, this term is known as Boltzmann factor. So this Boltzmann factor defines the fraction of molecules means colliding molecules whose energy is greater than the minimum energy, that is EA. So only those colliding molecules whose energy is greater than this minimum energy will lead to the formation of product. So this defines the fraction of molecules whose energy is greater than, or actually the fraction of molecule which is converting into the product. This A, this was defined as the exponential factor of frequency factor This frequency factor is defined as number of collisions per unit time. So as the number of collisions per unit time is more, chances for conversion of more amount of reactants to product will be more. If the fraction of molecules having energy greater than this minimum energy value is more, then also the chances for conversion into product will be more. Now this Arrhenius equation, or the main characteristics of this Arrhenius equation. First, the rate constant K is inversely related to the activation energy. That means if the activation energy of a given reaction is more, the rate constant will be less. If the rate constant is less, then the rate of reaction will be slow. So any given reaction, if suppose different activation energies are given, so the reaction, the one having more amount of activation energy will be having slower. So greater the value of activation energy, slower the reaction. That is, greater the value of activation energy, slower the reaction. Second factor, now increase in temperature increases the value of rate constant K. Now we have to see this effect of temperature at low temperature range or high temperature range, or the reaction with different values of activation energy. So effect of temperature is more pronounced on the rate which activation energy is more. That means temperature effect is more pronounced on reaction with larger activation energy. So means if the activation energy is large, the reaction is slow. So at this reaction with large value of activation energy, the rate is slow. On this reaction, the effect of increase in temperature will be more pronounced. If the activation energy is less, already the reaction is fast. So to this fast reaction, effect of temperature will be less. So when we study the effect of temperature on different rates, so temperature effect is more observable if the activation energy is more or the rate of reaction is slow. Third main characteristics of this. Now we are changing temperature. So change in temperature can be at low temperature range or at high temperature range. So effect of temperature is more pronounced or sensitive at lower temperature range than at higher temperature range. That means, suppose we are changing temperature from 100 degrees centigrade to 150 degrees centigrade. So we are changing by 50 units. So changing from 100 to 150 degree, we are changing by 50 units. Now same temperature change, look at this, changing from 500 to 550 degree. In the second case, again we are changing temperature by 50 units. In the first case, again we are changing temperature by 50 units. The only difference is this is at low temperature range, this is at high temperature range. So when we study the effect of temperature on rate constant K, effect of temperature is more pronounced at low temperature range than at high temperature range. So this is the main point or the main characteristics of this Arrhenius equation. So activation energy is more, rate constant is less, slower reaction. Activation energy is less, rate constant is more, faster reaction. Now, reaction with larger value of activation energy will have more sensitivity to temperature change than the reaction with smaller value of activation energy. Now, this effect of temperature is more pronounced on reaction and which changes at low temperature range than at high temperature range. So we have this main characteristics of Arrhenius equation. So look at this. We'll just use this to find something. Look at this. We have this graph. We have ln k versus 1 by t. We have two reactions. This is reaction 1. This is reaction 2. We have two reactions, reaction 1 and reaction 2 for this ln k versus 1 by t graph is given. Now the question is, out of these two reactions 1 and 2, which one will have larger value of activation energy and which reaction will be faster and which reaction will be slower reaction. Now we have this logarithmic equation ln k is equals to ln a minus e naught by r t. So this is the graph of this particular logarithmic equation. So therefore look at this, for this graph, slope is equals to minus ea by r. So look at this, the graph having larger slope will have larger value of activation energy. So activation energy is proportional to the slope. So the reaction, this reaction 1 and 2, two graphs are given. From this graph we will find the slope. So the one having larger slope will be having larger value of activation energy, and the reaction with larger value of activation energy will be having smaller value of rate constant k, and the rate of reaction will be slow. So look at this 1 and 2, the slope of reaction 2 will be greater than slope of reaction 1. If the slope of reaction 2 is greater than slope of reaction 1, this simply means activation energy for the second reaction is greater than activation energy of the first reaction. That means if this is the case, the rate constant k, so the one having larger value of activation energy will be having smaller value of rate constant k. So activation energy of 2 is greater than 1, so the rate constant k for the first reaction is greater than the rate constant k for the second reaction. So this is the significance of Arrhenius equation. And what is the terms involved in Arrhenius equation? What is the meaning of activation energy? And how to define this activation energy from Arrhenius equation. Now having learned this Arrhenius equation, we use one more theory, that is collision theory. Collision theory. Now, what is the basics of collision theory that we have discussed in Arrhenius equation? The main basics of this collision theory is, during the course of chemical reactions, the reacting molecule must come closer, and this reacting molecule must undergo collision, and during this collision, molecular rearrangement takes place, and during this molecular rearrangement, some bond is to be break and some new bonds is to be formed, and whenever this rearrangement takes place, the reacting molecule is converted into the product formation. So we have collision between the reacting molecule. So what is happening during collision is molecular rearrangement, and what is happening during rearrangement is breaking of bonds and the formation of bonds leading to the product formation. Now this collision theory contains two main points. One is energy factor, the another one is orientation factor. Now the energy factor says now during collision, all collisions is not leading to the product formation. Only those molecules which is undergoing collision and this molecule, if suppose energy of this molecule is greater than the minimum energy required, then those molecules who possess energy greater than the minimum energy required, only those molecules is undergoing product formation. So energy factor says the colliding molecules should have energy greater than the energy of colliding molecule should be greater than this minimum energy. If the energy is less than minimum energy, this doesn't lead to product formation. Only those molecules whose energy is greater than this activation energy is leading to the product formation. So one of the requirement is colliding molecule must have energy greater than this minimum energy. So this condition has to be satisfied. Second thing, now during collision, the molecule orientation has to be proper. Even if the molecules having energy greater than this minimum energy, if the orientation of the molecules undergoing collision is not proper, then product formation chances is less. So reaction requires the colliding molecules must have proper orientation. So orientation, let's explain this orientation. Suppose we have this AB molecules combined with AB molecules, suppose leading to the product formation of A2 and B2. Now let's take this. Suppose we have this AB, this is A, this is AB molecule. This is another AB molecule. Now we have to react this. So this will undergo collision. Now during this collision, look at this, we have this. This is AB, this is A, B. Now E is undergoing collision, B is undergoing collision. So finally, this gives you A2, it is AA, and this is. So we say this collision, colliding molecules having proper orientation and leading to the product formation. So this is proper orientation. Now take the same reaction, same colliding molecules. Let's take this. This is A, B. This is B, this is A. Now they are going for collision. Now they are undergoing collision is say A. So this is A, this is B, this is B, this is A. Now A is undergoing collision with B, B is undergoing collision with A. So this gives you AB and AB. So look at this, AB colliding with molecule AB, again leading to the product AB and AB. So there is no product formation here. So we say this is improper orientation. So simply satisfying energy criteria is not sufficient for these molecules to undergo chemical process leading to the product formation. Along with this energy criteria, means our molecule has to satisfy this energy criteria, must possess energy greater than this minimum energy known as activation energy. Along with this energy criteria, the orientation of the molecules undergoing collision should be proper. If this factor is satisfied, but if the orientation factor is not satisfied, then that colliding molecules will not lead to the product formation. So orientation should be proper. So combining these two, the collision theory says rate of reaction is equals to, suppose we have this reaction A plus B giving you product P, then rate of reaction is equals to ZAB into fraction of molecules having energy barrier greater than the minimum energy. So this is the fraction of molecules having energy greater than the minimum energy. This ZAB, this defines collision frequency. So if the collision frequency is more, chances for conversion of reactants to product will be more. If the chances for conversion is more, the rate of reaction will be more. Now, in this equation, we have to include the orientation factor. Including orientation factor or steric factor, the above equation is modified as, so the rate of reaction is equals to, this is also known as probability factor. So that is equals to probability factor, orientation factor or steric factor into ZAB exponential minus EA by RT. So look at this. This is the rate of reaction. So rate of reaction depends on the probability factor, that is orientation factor, collision frequency, how many molecules are undergoing collision per unit time, and how many molecules are having energy greater than this minimum energy. So this is according to the collision theory. Comparing this equation with Arrhenius equation, Arrhenius equation P is equals to A exponential minus EA by RT. So we have this. So rate is directly proportional to rate constant K. So we have rate constant K into A into X, this value. So this P exponential factor or the frequency factor, that is equals to E into Z. So therefore E is equals to orientation factor, probability factor into effective number of collisions. That means only those collisions which satisfy this orientation factor are known as effective collisions, and only this effective collision is leading to the product formation. That means all collisions will not lead to the product formation. For these collisions to be effective, this orientation factor and this energy factor has to be satisfied. This is the collision theory. So this collision theory is basically based on kinetic theory of gas. So collision theory based on kinetic theory of gas, and this kinetic theory of gas is based on the considering the reactant molecules are hard sphere, ignoring the structure. So one of the very important demerits of this collision theory is this collision theory considers the reacting molecules to be spherical hard cells, spherical hard spheres. So when we consider it is spherical shape hard molecules, we are totally ignoring the structure. So this is one of the demerits of collision theory. So this is collision theory and the Arrhenius equation, which describes the effect of temperature on the rate constant K, which say has effect on the rate of the reaction.